Hey everyone, how's it going? So in this video, I want to talk about The Walking Dead's future, and it's going to be a really long future because it doesn't seem like it's going to be ending anytime soon. And I mean the main show. It doesn't seem like the main show is going to end anytime in the next 10 years, which sounds so ridiculous to say because we're already on the 10th season. But in part 3 of EW's interview with Scott Gimple, Gimple talked about the ending. He actually talked about a few things that I do have to do separate videos on, just because if I combine that and this, it's going to be way too long. And this one, I really want to focus on what he said about the ending, because he was asked directly, is there a timeline or a timetable for the ending? And yeah, what he had to say was pretty interesting. He basically said no, but I do want to talk about his comments and more, talk about The Walking Dead's future. So of course, before we jump in, I do have to warn you for spoilers for The Walking Dead Season 10's first half. Also, make sure to be a subscriber if you want more Walking Dead content like this. We have a few more things that we're going to do this week, because I assume that EW is going to be posting more articles like this, so I'm going to be doing videos on everything that they post, if there is new information anyways. I'm sure there's going to be more Season 10 stuff coming out soon too, so there's a lot to talk about. We're a little over a month until the second half comes back, so if you want all videos on all of that, just make sure to be a subscriber. But yeah, so Gimple said that The Walking Dead, there's no timetable, and they're just going to continue on, and the show isn't going to end really anytime soon. To get into exactly what he said, again, this is from EW. I'll post a link down below if you want to read the full article, because there's a lot more stuff that they get into. I'm just reading this little part here. He says, we're always in contact with AMC to ensure we're on the same page about moving forward. There isn't a timetable. We're continuing on. People are digging the show, and there's a lot more story to tell. I've said it. Angela said it too. That last issue of the comic reads like a pilot. There's a ton more story to tell. As long as the audience wants it, we would love to tell it. So far, we're very much on the same page. And so it doesn't seem like the show is going to be ending in like 2 years or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I don't know if you remember, but in the summer around Comic-Con, there were a bunch of people reporting that The Walking Dead was going to end with season 10, which I was really shocked by, but didn't really believe it. And then we found out later on that, yeah, that's not true at all. And whenever they're asked about, the ending, or is there going to be an ending soon, or like, is The Walking Dead coming to an end, they always say, no, we're going to continue on. But Gimple here, like, I'm glad that this Dalton Ross, I believe, is the interviewer here, but I'm glad that they just asked him, like, is there a timetable? Do you have an ending in sight? And finally, Gimple just said there isn't a timetable, because it's been a very long time since we've really gotten any definitive answer on this. We don't know what their plan is, and it seems like as of now, maybe they have a few ideas or a few, things in place for what they plan to do towards the end, but it seems like they're just going to keep going on for as long as they can. Season 15 probably isn't that unreasonable. Honestly, they're probably going to continue on until, I do see there being a season 20 of The Walking Dead, which does sound really insane, because that is just, that's 10 years away, right? Or I guess 9 years away, technically. And so that's my question for you guys. Can The Walking Dead really go on forever? Because as of now, it just seems like it is never, ever going to end. And I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing, but it is kind of a bad thing, I guess, in a way. All great stories need an ending, and if you overdo it, it's going to get really, obviously, dry, boring, and no one's going to care. And I would say The Walking Dead, for the most part, is kind of at that point for a lot of people. I guess when you compare it to their audience that they had before anyways. Obviously, the Walking Dead fan base, everyone's still here. I'm still really enjoying the show, and I think the storyline right now is probably the best they've ever had. But since the show's been on for a while, it's not like this brand new show. It is just hard for other people to see that, people who just, they've had their time with the show. Because to me, honestly, The Walking Dead should have ended when they got to Alexandria. I feel like the proper ending would have been they made it to a safe community, and, you see all those tapes there with Rick, and they're recording their experiences or whatever, or they're recording them talking about their experiences. I feel like that was a good ending to that version of The Walking Dead. Everything from season 6 and on is kind of where we're at now with The Walking Dead, where it's definitely very comic booky, because those first 5 seasons, it was just like, okay, there was the governor, but he was a random villain. Before that, it was just people, you had Shane. It was someone within your group that turned to a villain. And overall, with those first 5 seasons, you guys had cannibals too, but it was generally very grounded. And then you get into season 6, which was, I guess, for the most part, pretty grounded. But then you meet someone like Negan, who is a comic book villain. And then you see some, like, the Kingdom stuff. You get Shiva, which is like really, it's wild and crazy. You have someone called the King. And then later on, you meet the Whisperers. And then at that point, it's not really a zombie survival story. it definitely is something else. And I would say since season 6, it's been that type of Walking Dead. I think that's why I really like season 9, because season 9 to me went back to those first earlier seasons. Season 10 as of now is still like those earlier seasons, but we know where it's going right away. So, and it's not like it's a bad thing if they're doing a comic book type thing, you know what I mean? But it just depends on how you view The Walking Dead. If you view The Walking Dead as like this very grounded zombie story, and you just want to see them survive and see an ending, you're probably not going to get that. And that's probably why a lot of people tuned out around season 5 to 7, right? Because at a certain point, they brought in all those comic book aspects, right? Like King Ezekiel and then Shiva. If you've read the comic and are a fan of the comic, obviously you're going to continue watching because you want to see how they do certain storylines, like the Whisperers, for example. As for original material, I think they definitely, whenever they do original material, I think it actually works like way better. And in this case, it seems like they're going to have to. And so is The Walking Dead going to go on forever? I don't think it's going to go on forever, but for another 10 years, I can easily see that. Like, just as of now, just based off what Gimple was saying there, he says that they're just continuing on. There's no timetable. And so if they don't have a timetable or anything in place for when it's going to end, it's not ending in 3 or 4 years. There's no way. It's not ending in 5 years, and maybe 8 years. But at that point, just go for a season 20. I don't know. Obviously, if ratings get very bad, they'll do something different at that point. But I think what's going to happen, and that's what I want to talk about right away, is they're going to reboot The Walking Dead, and they're going to reboot it with a whole new cast, and they're just going to end this version of The Walking Dead with all of our characters, with the characters we have currently, and they're going to do a time jump of like 30 years. This is where I want to talk about what Gimple had to say about the final issue of The Walking Dead. In this article, he says that the final issue reads like a pilot, which I definitely would agree with. In the final issue, they jump, I don't know, is it 30 years, 15 years? It's a lot more than 15 years. I think it's like 20 years, 20, 25 years. They jump a massive amount of time into the future. Carl is much older. He's probably in his 30s. I would assume late 30s, I think, maybe early 40s or something like that. He has a daughter now. Everyone is just that much older. Everyone is in a different place now. And when you read that final issue, it feels so, it's so unlike everything else that we got on The Walking, or in The Walking Dead. Everyone's in different positions. Everyone knows each other, but there's newer characters. I guess you could introduce newer characters. People are just very, very different. And I really think at a certain point, if the ratings get low enough, and obviously if you're paying like Norman Reedus and you're paying all those bigger actors way more money, I mean, maybe they could still afford it through merchandise. I have no idea how all that works there, but I feel like at a certain point, you're going to be like, okay, we're going to end it with like season 14 or 15 with that current version of The Walking Dead with all that cast, and then we're going to jump to the future, season 16 or 20, I don't know when it will be, but Norman Reedus, all of them are going to be much older. At that point, it's going to be an entirely new Walking Dead. We're going to have Judith all grown up, RJ all grown up. We'll have Herschel. We haven't even seen Herschel, like Maggie's son Herschel. He's going to be all grown up. He could be exactly like his character is in the comic, which I know a lot of fans would hate, but I actually kind of find it a little interesting to make Herschel kind of an asshole, because if you think about how he would have grown up, it makes a lot of sense because he grew up with Maggie, and Maggie is so, I don't know if she's self-obsessed, but she's kind of in that direction, you know what I mean? Like, she's very, very independent. We haven't really seen her as a mother yet, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. But even actually, if you think of season 9, she was always handing Herschel over to someone else because she was the leader. She had other responsibilities. I think that type of parenting is going to show in Herschel, and that's why he is the way he is. Glenn's death and him not being able to be there for his son just affected him in that way, right? Because if Glenn was still around, there's no way Herschel would have ended up that way. But there's a lot of human stories you can get there. And yeah, I agree with Gimple there that with that final issue, it reads like a pilot. When you read that issue, it's like, you know, you can kind of tell a new story from this point on. And I really feel like that's what they're going to do. And so if you want The Walking Dead to end at some point, I don't think we're ever going to get it, to be honest. Not for a very, very long time. If The Walking Dead ends, it's going to be in the 2030s probably. I mean, I would be absolutely shocked if they announced an ending, to be honest. If it's 2028 or 30 and I'm still doing videos, like Walking Dead videos, I mean, as of now, it doesn't seem like it's that surprising, to be honest. I think the future of The Walking Dead, I thought they would end the show at some point and then just continue on with like new shows. But no, it seems like they're going to be, for the next, I guess for the 2020s, they're focusing on The Walking Dead a lot. And then obviously World Beyond is going to be a big focus. And then obviously we still have Fear the Walking Dead. that show could end in the next couple of years and then they could do another spinoff. And there's always going to be exciting things that you can do because you can always bring Morgan back, you can always bring Dwight back, and obviously you can always introduce new characters. And I think that's where The Walking Dead is definitely going to succeed more, is getting into more original material. Because if they want to go on for this long, they're just going to have to. And the writing's going to have to be really, really good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As of now, I find it so insane that there's no timetable for it ending. But I guess if they want to keep it going for as long as they want to, for their 10 years plus, I have no idea. It makes sense. Why would you make a timetable, right? Like, if you plan to end in season 14 or 15, you would already have a timetable for that. You would know where it's going to go, but obviously I think they're taking it season by season. They're just going to keep continuing on, and at a certain point, they'll probably be like, yeah, we should either reboot it or, I guess, end it. But let me know what you guys all think about this. Do you think this is like the most insane thing ever, that there's no timetable for the ending? Or do you think it just makes sense? Are you happy that they're continuing on? And what kind of stuff do you think they should do for the future? Because obviously after this Whisper arc, we basically just have the Commonwealth arc, which is very, very short. Nothing really happens within like 30 issues. And so if they, they could probably fit that into a whole season and make that really exciting. If they split that up into 2 seasons, then that definitely, I don't know. But season 11 is probably going to be the last season with comic material. And unless they wanted to stretch it out to season 12, maybe. But there, for the most part, in in a year from now, we'll be talking about season 12 and how that's going to have a lot more original material than ever. But post your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys all think about this. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Make sure to be a subscriber if you want more Walking Dead content like this. And thanks for watching.